Good afternoon. Can you hear me now? My name is Marilyn Barry. Oh, you can't hear me? You have to talk right into it. Okay. Good afternoon. Now you can hear me. My name is Marilyn Barron, and I'm the chair of Atlanta Authors, and I'd like to welcome you to today's Atlanta Authors Series event featuring Tiffany Crum in conversation with Carly Walker. But before we begin, I just want to thank you for your flexibility. For coming here to the Doubletree when we changed the venue from the Roswell Library at the last minute. And the reason is that we had more registrants for Atlanta Authors than we've ever had in our whole 17-year history. Yeah. We had about 199 people RSVP. So this book is obviously on fire. So the first week we started with 38 people, and then the next week it jumped to 65, then 87, 112, 147, 180, and we thought, we'll never fit them in the library. So we got this room, which is lovely. So we want to thank you very much. I was thinking, what is happening? Are we giving away gold bars or something? But it just means that everybody, you love to read, and we thank you again. And the registration list says that there are people from all over Georgia. Like, we have people from Flowery Branch, Dallas, Canton, Mableton, Hiram, Cumming, Tucker, Woodstock, Atlanta, Marietta, Norcross, Smyrna, Duluth, Decatur, Cartersville, Carrollton, and Riverdale. And we even showed that we had some people from out of state. Do we have anybody here? I mean, it was showing all over the country, and I thought, what is going on here? But we're still very happy that you're here. So Tiffany's novel, this story might just save your life. It's a riveting mystery and it's a love story. It's her first novel, and it just came out in March, but it's already a New York Times instant bestseller, an Amazon Book of March, a Book of the Month selection, a BBC Radio 2 book club pick, and many others. It's going to be published in 23 languages, and it's even optioned for television. So this is a very impressive accomplishment. Today's conversation will be moderated by Carly Walker. She's the author of contemporary romance and young adult novels based in the Atlanta area. Carly's best known for her adult debut, the holiday romantic comedy caper, The Takedown, and for her children and YA books published under the name Carly Sorosiak. So in this story just might save your life. Benny Abbott and Joy Moore host one of the most beloved podcasts in the world. Each week, they delight listeners with a different, against all odds, survival story. The problem is that their next survival story may be their own. When Benny arrives at Joy and her husband Xander's house one morning to record, he finds shattered glass and an empty house. Benny will stop at nothing to find his best friend, even as the police zero in on him as their prime suspect. So the hours took by, and the odds seemed stacked against Joy and Xander being found alive. So like a good novelist, I'm going to leave you there with that cliffhanger. And I did read the book, and it was great, but as we talked about at the beginning, I thought, it's great, but all these people, but it must be really great. So you might want to get your coffee before you leave. So Atlanta Authors has been presenting author events at the Roswell Library or the Cultural Arts Center, the Roswell Adult Learning Center, and virtually for the last 17 years. And we have more than 70 authors that we've featured. So I would like to thank the Atlanta Authors Committee members. You could stand or raise your hand when I call your names. Lou Conti, Debbie Weiss, Deanna Smith, Diane Stevenson, Kathy Choppy, George Weinstein with Atlanta Writers Club, Judy Stanton, and the owner of our favorite local bookstore, Bookmiser, Anel Gerson. So Atlanta Authors is sponsored by Friends of the Roswell Library in partnership with the City of Roswell and Bookvisor. We couldn't hold these programs without their support, and we also appreciate support from the East Roswell Library. So you can join Friends of the Roswell Library, also known as FORL, and the East Roswell Library is Feral. It's confusing. They provide financial assistance to the library, and they promote it as a learning center for the community and advocate for improved library services. Through its Atlanta Authors and Roswell Reads programs, FORL offers community reading, author discussions, and lifelong learning opportunities. And FORL is funded by yearly sponsorships as well as proceeds from book sales at the bookstore in the library, as well as its booth at City Antiques. And you can be a FORL sponsor for as little as $10 a year. We have forms at the information table outside this room if you want to sign up. And FORL's got their book sale October 2nd, 3rd, and 5th coming up. So everybody at the seat or at the information table outside has received, you want to hold that up, has received a flyer for our next event. It's going to be Saturday, October 10th at 2 p.m. at the Roswell Library, unless we have this turnout, and then it won't be at the Roswell Library. And it's going to feature author Tara Gedgen. I think she's in the house. Is Tara here? Tara, stand up. Yay. And she's the author of the debut upmarket suspense novel, Please Enjoy Your Stay. And that event will be moderated by Lauren Dossett, a professor turned novelist and author of 3 thriller novels. So we're glad to have you here, and we hope you'll all come back to hear Tara on October 10th. So before we introduce today's author, if you could just silence or turn off your cell phone. And now Annelle Gerson will introduce our guest speakers.
Okay. Thank you, Marilyn, and thank you, all of you readers who have a lot of places you could be today, but you chose to be here. So we thank you for the privilege of your time. It is a pleasure to welcome our authors today, and I'm going to ask that they come up and join me on the stage before I formally introduce them. So it is a pleasure to welcome Atlanta author Tiffany Crum, whose debut novel, This Story Might Save Your Life, has quickly established her as a spectacular new voice in suspense thriller. Raise your hand if you've already read This Story Might Save Your Life. Woohoo! Cool ending, right? Didn't see it coming, right?
Love it.
Tiffany's path to becoming a novelist is as intriguing as the stories she now writes. She grew up on a dairy farm in Southern California, just down the road from a maximum security prison. A childhood juxtaposition that seems almost tailor-made for a mystery writer. And after working in a variety of roles in the film industry in Los Angeles, Tiffany earned her MFA in creative writing and turned her attention to fiction. Today, she lives in Atlanta with her husband, two teenage sons, and their dogs. As Marilyn told us, This Story Might Save Your Life is deliciously a deliciously twisty blend, that's hard to say, deliciously twisty blend of mystery, suspense, humor, and romance. And as you all know, it became an instant New York Times bestseller. In fact, the new edition of her book even already has that stamp on it. So it's in what edition is it already in? 8th edition. So today you have the wonderful opportunity to meet the woman behind this remarkable debut and hear how she transformed a lifetime of experience, imagination, and a love of storytelling into a book that keeps readers turning pages long into the night. I know it did for me. Want me to move that? I can't see Carly. The intent was good, right?
It was beautiful.
And we are fortunate to have another Atlanta literary gem joining us to guide today's conversation, Carly Walker. Carly Walker in Bebe. Carly earned a master's degree in English and American Studies from Oxford University, and it was during an internship while living in London that she began her writing career. Although she will tell you she's been writing animal stories since she was about 5 or 6, yeah. After returning to the United States, she went on to teach creative writing at the Savannah College of Art and Design. She is the author of 2 romantic comedy spy novels, The Takedown in 2023, and in 2026, an Amazon Best Romance Book of the Month, Code Word Romance. But Carly's storytelling career began even earlier than her contemporary adult novel writing. Before turning to adult fiction, she wrote 8 books, picture books and middle grade novels, under the name of Carly Sorosiak. Her highly acclaimed children's fiction beautifully explores the bonds between humans and animals and has earned prestigious honors, including the Parents' Choice Award and the Fantastic Book Award. When she isn't writing, being a mom to her precious 2-year-old, or volunteering at local animal shelters, Carly is the beloved moderator of Book Miser's YA Book Club. So please join me in a very warm welcome for Tiffany Crum and Carly Walker.
Thank you so much, everyone, for coming today, and thank you, Atlanta Author Series, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Tiffany, it is a, we here?
Yeah, I know, it's like, it doesn't sound like it up here.
It's a delight to speak with you today about your debut novel.
It's not on.
It's not on, see, okay, so that's, mine is on though, right, guys?
So it seems to be how you write.
You
I hold it like a rapper.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'm gonna hold it like a rapper. Perfect. It is a delight to speak with you today about your debut novel, This Story Might Save Your Life. I absolutely devoured it. It's one of those really rare books that you could truly read in one sitting. And one of the reasons I love your novel so much is it balances genre incredibly well. It's a thriller, mystery, meets kind of rom-com. It's funny, it's gripping. When you sat down to write this book, did you know that you were going to play with genre so much?
I did. So the story behind how that came together was, this is my debut novel, but it is not the first novel I ever wrote. I actually have been working toward this getting published for a very long time. I started writing seriously when my son was born, and he is 19 years old now. So it was a long journey to get here. I had a couple of novels die on submission before this one, and when my 3rd novel with my agent was dying on submission, and on submission means you have finished a book, you put all of your heart and love into it, they're sending it out to publishers, and they're saying, do you want to buy this book? And all of the publishers were coming back and saying no. And I had been writing literary fiction up until that point, and what I realized as all of these editors were coming back and saying no, was that what I was reading at that time was not literary fiction. I was reading a whole lot of thrillers and romance. I was reading romance during the day. I was like walking around my house listening to audiobooks, and then I would read thrillers at night on my Kindle. And what I found was that I really wanted books that did both. I was always finding that I wanted more thrills in my romance and more romance in my thrillers. Like, I wanted a page turner where somebody might die, but I also wanted the adorable dialogue. And I was like, is it even possible to do that? Like, that was the question that I that I set out for myself. Is this possible? And so I, and I was also at the time listening to a lot of podcasts. So like that dialogue was in my head. I was a particular huge fan of My Favorite Murder. I have been a Day One listener of My Favorite Murder since they were two girls sitting in a living room chatting about true crime to now like filling arenas with super fans. And I just found their trajectory to fame super fascinating. I also found like my parasocial relationship that I had with them super fascinating. Just like how convinced I was that if we ever met in real life that we would be best friends. And like you're taking these podcasters with you into every aspect of your life. You're doing your dishes with them, you're doing your laundry with them, you're in the bathroom with them. You are laughing at all their inside jokes. You really feel like you know them. And to the point where if you met them in real life, like I said, you believe that you would be best friends with them, and yet they have never met you. They know nothing about you. And so I had those three things in my head when I set about to write this book. And I had the literary fiction background, and so some of that weaved its way into the book as well. But that was what I found was I was finally writing something that I truly, with all of my heart, loved writing. And it was an amazing experience writing the book. I had so much fun. I wrote it way faster than I had ever written anything before in my life, and I sent it to my agent at the time. This was like after we had decided to kind of give up on the submission process for book 3, for the third book that I had written. And I sent it to her, and I was like, this is the book. This is the one. We are going to get this published. It's going to be a huge hit. And she read it in a day, and she got back to me, and she was like, I like it, but I don't love it. I think we should break up. And so I cried myself to sleep. And then I woke up the next morning and I was like, no, she does not get to have the final word. And so I did revise it. I revised it over the next month or two. And then I sent it out to my next list of agents. And within a week I was signed with the #1 agent on my list, and it's been a crazy, amazing
Did you send your old agent a copy?
Oh, she's even in the acknowledgement section. And honestly, I was so grateful for her for dumping me because she wasn't the right agent for this book. It was a gift that she gave me, and it really put fire under my ass too. I was like, no, this is the one. And so I'm very grateful to her. But I also it's funny because she reached out to me I had told her that I got a new agent, but then I never told her that the book sold, and then we hadn't talked since then. But we had a very, very kind part. It was a lovely parting. And then she emailed me a month after the book came out, and she was like, Audible just recommended your book to me. I just wanted to say congratulations, And I was like, oh, cool. I wanted to be like, did you read it? Did you listen to it? So I was like, you're in my acknowledgement section, just wanted to let you know that. And then a week later, she was like, so I've got the book. Thank you for putting your name in your acknowledgement section, but it was funny. Yeah.
Wow.
What a story. I love that. A bit of a publishing survival story, in a way.
Yes.
Yeah. So this story might save your life. Could be a real podcast. Did anyone else feel that way when they were reading it? It's something that you really want to listen to. Benny and Joy feel like incredibly real people, and more than that, they feel like the type of people that you'd really love to have as friends, I think. How did you go about creating their characters and also building their relationship?
That was exactly my goal. It was can I write a Gone Girl but with really likable characters? All I wanted was to love the characters the entire time that I was writing the book. I just didn't want to spend, it was a dark time in the world. I just didn't want to be spending any of my life, any moments of my life with people that I didn't like in any way, shape, or form. And so yeah, I set out to write people that I wanted to be friends with, basically. And there's a little bit of yourself in everything that you write, right? So I took all of the things that I like the most about myself and I put them in Joy. So if you don't like me, don't read this book because you won't like her. And then my husband, I took all of his patience and his kindness, and good Lord, that man is patient, like living with me for 25 years. But I basically took as much of the banter and like the fun that we have in our relationship, and I put as much of it into the book as I could, just because it was fun to do so.
Did he ever recognize himself in the book?
He hates it, so he like won't come to my events anymore, because when he does come, then I'm always like, and he's right there. Everybody turn around. I think he what he likes to say is, next time, like, pass this dialogue through me, because I think I can help you make it even funnier.
Let's dive a little bit into the world of this book. So it is such a compelling, visceral setting, and I noticed in your acknowledgments that you decided to write novels, quote, while living in a small Spanish revival in Mount Washington beside a paparazzo and a judge. So we already talked about how maybe your relationships have informed the experience of the novel, but is there anything else about your experience that formed this novel?
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to me wanting to spend time with things that made me happy, and I was just, when I was trying to figure out where to set the book, I thought, where was I so happy? Where was it? Where in my life was there a time that like everything was awesome and easy and whatever? And it was when I was living in that 1931 Spanish revival in Mount Washington, a house that was very similar to what I based Joy's house on in the book, except that mine was falling down and teeny tiny, and I gave hers a really amazing glow up. But
in the shed.
Yes.
I want to live there.
I had a shed in my backyard that was not even remotely as awesome as Benny's shed that I gave him, but I have a fun story behind it, and I kept trying to shoehorn that story into my book, and it ultimately didn't work. But it was a story about how George Harrison, the Beatle, had actually like been friends with the person who owned my house back then, like in the 70s, and the Self-Realization Fellowship is on the hill of Mount Washington, which is like meditation, and there are monks, and it's like, George Harrison was a member, and so he would go and he would meditate, and he would have these experiences on the hill in Mount Washington, and then he would come back to my house that was not owned by me at that time, and he would stay in the sleeping room, which was our shed, but it was technically permitted as a sleeping room. And so I tried to shoehorn that story into my book so many times, and I was just like, I give up. But I did call it the Zen Den for that reason. Yeah, but yeah, I had a nice, across the street from a paparazzo. I gave birth to my son in that house.
I thought you were going to go with a paparazzi.
Literally.
Like, I gave birth to my son, and there were cameras.
No, but what's funny is when I was in labor, I was walking up and down the steps of the paparazzo's house because my son was sunny side up, and they kept saying, if you climb stairs, he might turn. And it didn't work for turning him. It just made me want to vomit. But I feel every time I think about the paparazzo, I think about how I climbed the stairs while I was in labor.
So besides your own personal experiences, you've obviously done an incredible amount of research for this book as well, not just with the survival stories, but also with the narcolepsy in particular. That's a big part of Joy's character, and you portray her experience with such impeccable sensitivity. Could you tell us more about why you made the choice for Joy to have narcolepsy, and also how you went about researching that condition?
Yes, thank you so much for that compliment, by the way. I did not know that that Joy was going to live with narcolepsy until I wrote her first words of her first memoir chapter. At the time, I only had, I didn't have a day zero. Right now, the book starts with a day zero, and then it's Benny's point of view for day one, and then you get Joy's memoir chapter is the third chapter. I didn't have a day zero at the time, and so when I sat down to write Joy, you write to explore these characters. You don't really know how what kind of personalities they're gonna come out with, and what their backstory is gonna be until like you've written it down. And the first words that I wrote on were "I can sleep anywhere," and I was like, why did I just write that? And you know, I have a friend who lives with a sleep disorder. It's not anywhere near as serious as Joy's, but it's possible that was in the back of my mind. When I saw that, I thought to myself, gosh, that would be really interesting if she did live with narcolepsy. I went looking for books that had characters with narcolepsy, and I just couldn't find any. Not any fiction that took it seriously. And I really thought, gosh, I would really like to do this research, but it was also maybe the most terrifying part of writing this book, because if you're writing about something that's not a lived experience of your own, then you have to be especially careful with it. And so like the amount of research that I did was copious. and I still never felt like I did enough. Like the whole year before publication, I swear that was all I talked to my therapist about, was like, did I do enough? Did I do enough? Is it sensitive enough? Is it sensitive enough? You know, we had sensitivity readers, but it's like, you have to do so much research, and then you have to, when you're writing the character, you kind of have to wash your brain of it. It's like you have to just kind of remember the things that you really want to include in that draft, so that you don't end up writing it like a training manual for narcolepsy, you know? And so I would do that. I would like kind of wash my brain of it, and then I would go through the draft, and then I would double check the research to make sure that I had written it correctly. Because it was just so important to me that Joy came across not as a narcoleptic, but as a strong, intelligent, hardworking, funny woman who lives with the daily challenges of narcolepsy. That distinction was so important to me. And I've got to say, like I'm so glad I did all of that research, because I get emails from people who live with sleep disorders every single day. And one, a couple of days ago, said, thank you, I never knew for the last 14 years why I was so tired. Every doctor has told me something different. She was like, I read that book and I just felt like I was Joy. And she said, I got myself a sleep study. I did 2 sleep studies, and they diagnosed me with narcolepsy. Wow. Yeah, how wild is that?
So you changed
I
her.
just got chills just saying that.
You changed her entire life.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah, it's the
Because so
power of
often it's
fiction.
misdiagnosed. It's like people, you know, they treat you for depression, and then you're on the SSRIs, and then it makes the sleep studies unreliable. So it's a whole thing. Yeah, but it was very rewarding to be able to do that research and have it resonate with people. And gosh, I'm just so grateful.
Thank you. A little bit more about research. Do you have any, and maybe you've included them in the book, the whale one obviously comes to mind. Do you have any truly wild survival stories that you learned about while writing this book?
Well, yeah, the whale one is true. That happened outside of San Luis Obispo around the time that I was writing this book. My dad is actually one of the survival stories that I wrote about, because
That was such a Joy laugh. That was exactly Joy's laugh.
It's just a little snippet in the book about dismemberment. My dad cut his fingers off while woodworking, and like drove himself to the hospital with his fingers in his lap. And so I was like, Dad, you're getting a mention in my book. So it's even his name, Norm. But yeah, but basically what I did when I was doing this research, other than those 2, was to just Google dumb ways to die and like see what I could make a joke out of. I kept thinking to myself, it'd be really fun if you know, whatever I come up with has to be funny.
Don't they have those awards that's like the Darwin Awards?
Yes, the Darwin Awards. Yes. I definitely looked through a lot of those. There's a lot of stuff out there, guys.
There's a lot of electrical fences and things we probably don't want to bring up. So this isn't really a spoiler because it's on the back cover, but fairly early on in the book, Joy vanishes. And there are some pretty shocking twists from there on out. Do you plot each twist and turn from the get-go, or did the story really surprise you as you went along? Like, did you always know the ending?
I did kind of always know the ending. And I always knew like the midway through the book what that twist was going to be. But I had a very loose outline, like 1 sentence for each chapter, because the way I see it is a chapter, if you can distill the essence of a chapter down into 1 sentence, then I feel like that's the best way to not include too much fluff in your book. And also just like, there's an action there. If you can distill it into one sentence, that means there's an action happening in each chapter. And so it would be like Joy, the whole book goes back and forth between Benny and Joy. And I just had a little grid, and it was, Benny and Joy, and then I would just do chapter, and then I wrote the one sentence into each little box, and I would just, something you write will shock you, and you're like, woo, that changes the trajectory of this book, and then you just kind of fix the outline.
Yeah, and it gives you that wonderful room to surprise
Yes,
yourself and
yes.
to let your characters feel real people that do
Yes.
shocking things, and you're like, why would you do that? That's awesome.
Exactly, and I still didn't know exactly how it was all going to play out at the end, and it was fun to figure out how it ended up happening, and then I ended up changing it a couple of times too. But yeah, I'm definitely someone who likes to write a very lean draft and layer in red herrings and even characters. Like, if you've read the book, you'll be very surprised to learn that Luna was not a character in the first draft of the book. Imagine how different the book would be without her. But I love editing. Like, editing is my jam. I hate drafting. Drafting is hard. Drafting is blank pages that you have to fill, and you are filled with doubt the entire time. But once you have the actual manuscript and you're like, I can mold this, then it's fun. And so yeah, I try and get.
Are there any other writers in the room? Okay, a few other writers. Do we feel this way too? Do we like drafting better? Do we like editing better? Oh, like editing better. Anyone like drafting better? That's a rare person. I think that's amazing. Well done. Let's talk about a few of the characters. Xander. I have some feelings. Where did his character come from?
I had a boss in Los Angeles who was Danish and very charming and very good looking. And I just felt like there was something about him that I could not put my finger on. And I loved him, but I also was like, what's your deal? And so I took that. If I could go back and change it, I wouldn't make him Danish, only because it's a hard accent to pull off for the audiobook. Yeah. So I heard him in a different way. That was the only character I was like, huh. But yeah, now I know, like, write Irish or like.
Every villain will be Irish.
And yes, they're all going to be Irish from now on, guys. Juliet is a really good Irish accent.
Now, the best characters in the book, the dogs. I felt like they added so much life and joy and realism to this book. Do you have any pets?
I do. I have two little puppies. I also, when I was living in Mount Washington, had a Cocker Spaniel. I wrote two beagles, and the reason I put beagles in there was because I was trying to shoehorn that George Harrison thing in there, and I was giving them the beagles were going to have Beatles names. But then I was like, I'm going to keep the beagles. But my Cocker Spaniel had a best friend that was a beagle when I was living in Mount Washington. And I was like, I'm going to do a cute little beagle. But I do have two sweet little doggies. They're both rescues, and they are my writing companions every single day because I do almost all of my drafting on voice memo. So, like, if anyone ever wants to accuse me of AI, I'm like, here are the the very first draft is on my phone.
It's fascinating.
Yeah, so I walk. It's hot. It sucks right now, you guys. It's so hot. Right now I'm like getting up at 6 in the morning to walk for like an hour and a half with the dogs before and I'm drenched with sweat.
I'm
Yes.
2 to 3 hours in the morning.
I love you. Yeah. No, the doggies will walk on either side of me, and they're not allowed to pull. I've trained them not to pull, and I will talk through I write the draft from like the beginning of the chapter to the end. I usually write a chapter a day is what I try to do on my walk, and then I come home and I transcribe it. So what's awesome about that is that you end up getting like multiple edits in by the time you even put it on the page because you talk through each sentence to make sure that it sounds right, and then record it, and then so that it's already gone through one edit, and then by the time I transcribe it, I'm like, I can make that even better, and then it gets another edit right then.
I love that. That's amazing.
It's
And you
because
get
you're
really
writing.
like strong calves at the same time.
I'm right. But you know, your brain is firing off all the synapses, and it's like it's very colorful and more creative when you're moving, and so it definitely helps.
It is. I tell this story to my creative writing classes, but anyone familiar with the English poet Wordsworth? So he would always compose while he was writing, and people in his village, or when he was walking, and people in his village thought that he was insane because he would just be walking,
Yes.
like talking to
Yes.
himself. And it was like that's the writer way.
Yes, and all of my neighbors thought I was super weird until I had a New York Times bestseller, and then I was like,
She's cool now. She's cool. Out of all of your side characters, who would you want to most eat tacos with?
Ooh, side characters. Oh, I love Sarah. I love Benny's sister. I have a relationship with my brother that is very similar to the relationship between Benny and Sarah. And so I'm always gonna write a sibling into any of my books and just like make it my brother and me, the way we talk to each other. Obviously, we're not always dealing with like missing persons and other very serious topics, but it's like it's my ode to my brother. So, I mean, it'd be like going out with my brother, and I would love that.
Okay, Happy Days. I love the Fonz. I used to watch that show all the time as a kid. Were you a fan as well, and how did the Fonz work his way into your story?
I was, and the Fonz, okay, so the reason that came about was because around the time that I started drafting this book, my son's best friend, I guess it was before I started drafting the book, but my son's best friend from Los Angeles had a bar mitzvah, and it was still during the pandemic where they weren't like having parties yet, and so they did like my son's best friend's mom is an entertainment lawyer in Los Angeles. And you can't like swing a dead cat without hitting a producer and an entertainment lawyer or an actor. And so she actually got like a whole bunch of amazing celebrities to do this like happy bar mitzvah, Mazel Tov video for him. And one of them was Henry Winkler. And I was just like, you are the most darling human on the planet. Like, how generous and wonderful of him. And I didn't know, he was just in my head. So I was just like, I'm gonna write this. And now I have an in with him. Yeah. With this.
You should be in the TV show. You should be in a cameo.
Good idea. No, but that was how I ended up. But I actually did totally watch that show. I mean, he's the Fonz.
What challenged you the most about writing this book?
I think for me, my tendency is to want to write the most realistic story possible. I'm fine with suspending my disbelief with the crazy books where they're just like twist after twist after twist, but I wanted every twist in this book to be as believable as possible if you were going to be someone who really likes to read about realistic situations. So it was hard to make the twist twisty enough, but while also making it a very believable situation with characters that have very deep arcs, and I think that that was something that I had to play around with quite a bit, and because I had to play around with it quite a bit, I had to have so many beta readers, because you can only have somebody experience the book one time for the first time, and so that was interesting. I think drafting going forward has been a different experience for me, because now I'm just watching some of these books that have amazing, incredible sales out there where the twists are just like, what? And I'm like, maybe people don't care. Maybe I'm just gonna go for it for the next one. But I really cared. I really cared that this book was as believable as possible.
Did you ever change anything in response to your beta readers? Like, was there ever a twist that they found not twisty enough?
Yes, and there were other things where I would change the character, I would reveal something about a character a little too soon, where then it would kill the twist, or things like that you don't see as a writer in your 6th draft of the book or whatever.
Do you have a favorite scene, either while you were writing it or maybe while you were reading it back as a reader?
Favorite scene? Let me think about this for a second. I don't remember what my book's about. You know what I really loved writing was the bonus episode in the audiobook. Just because I could just do whatever I wanted with it, and it didn't have to further the plot.
Freedom, fresh.
Yeah,
It's not that
was
puzzle
super
piece.
fun. Yeah.
So for people who've always wanted to be writers, were you a bookish kid? Did you always want to be an author? And if you weren't an author, what would you be? That's like 3 questions, but yeah, go for it.
Okay, wait. First, if I wasn't an author, I think I would have wanted to go into medicine. I really do feel like that would have been my jam, but I didn't. I did love reading. I was very much a bookish kid, and on the dairy farm that I grew up on, where I had no neighbors for miles except for this maximum security prison. I also had my brother. I love him, but he is 7 years older than me. My sister is 10 years older than me. I was very much like kind of an only child growing up. And I would go, and I would, between chores, I liked to go into the hay alley and build forts. And I would build myself like these little sitting rooms, and I would read books in them. And I would dream about being a writer, and I like never, ever, ever once told anyone that I wanted to be a writer until I was 26 years old and I was pregnant with my oldest son. And that was when I decided, in that house in Mount Washington, I am going to give this a shot. And so my son got to watch my entire life, his entire life, he got to watch me pursuing this dream. And I write about this in my acknowledgement section about how around the time that I sold the book, he was applying for college. That's how long it took, you guys. He was applying for college when I sold this book. And in one of the essays that they asked him to write for his college admissions, he was asked to write about a book that inspired him. And so he turned it back to my book about how a literal lifetime of watching me chase and finally achieve my dreams has given him the courage to pursue his own. So, like, it was an amazing full circle moment.
My son is 2 and believes that, he believes that all moms are writers.
Oh, that's
Like, he
cute.
literally believes that because he watches Peppa Pig, and on Peppa Pig, the mom writes
I love
books.
Peppa Pig.
So he just, and I write books, and there's just natural. So everyone is a mom, we all do it.
Yeah, that's so cute.
What is the best piece of writing advice that you've ever received that you'd love to pass along to others?
Oh, my favorite piece of writing advice that I love to give to people is that it's okay to let something go if it's not working. I know, it's a hard one to stomach, but like when I think about the fact that I have all these unpublished novels in the drawer, and everyone always asks me, are you going to do something with them now that you have a platform, now that you have readers? And I'm like, no. But they taught me to be a better writer, and I am so grateful to them for that. But there's a certain point where you start to overwork something, and also, you know, where you want to keep going to the point where is it even going to benefit your life, you know? I think some people are very stubborn about like, I'm going to get this published no matter what, and I didn't feel that way. I felt like, no, I want the best thing that I write to get published, and I want it to be something that I don't have to work too. I don't have to work too hard to convince people to buy, you know. Right. And those books that I wrote first that are in the drawer were not those, you know. And I really genuinely believe that there's like a certain number of words that you should write, and and read, and all of those things. Like I really do think that all of that work will help you. And
Yeah, it's like that Malcolm Gladwell 10,000
hours
hour principle. Like
Yep.
you're like, you know what I'm talking about.
Yep. And Stephen King, million words. I mean, I think I've written 1 million words at this point, and like I thank them all for their service, even though 900,000 of them didn't get published.
Yeah. I'll throw in my piece of writing advice as well, just for any writers in the room. But there's an author called Catherine Rundell, and she said that you have to allow yourself to write terribly, otherwise your ideas are going to die with you. And that just hit me right in the solar plexus. I mean, and it's true. I don't think that anything, Is anything we write at first any good?
Oh God, no. I'm so embarrassed of what I'm writing right now, you guys. It's so bad.
That was my next question. What's next? What's next for you?
So I actually this hasn't been announced yet, but I'm just gonna say it. I just signed a contract for books 2 and 3. So I get to publish with Flatiron again. I'm very excited. I'm the same editor. And I'm hard at work on book 2. I'm about halfway through the first draft, and it was, man, these last couple of months were a mind trip, you know, because you have a lot of people all of a sudden reading your book and weighing in on your brain, and it's like the positive comments are as much of a mess with your head as much as the negative ones, and the bigger a book gets, the louder the negative ones are, because people love to be contrary and voice their dissent as loudly as possible, because they're like, why does everybody not agree with me?
Do you read Goodreads?
Oh God, no.
Okay, good.
No. But I did for the first like 800 reviews that came in before the
Although I have looked her book up on Goodreads, and everyone does love it, for real. So, and that was my next question. Of like, early response to your debut has been just absolutely fantastic, and 5 months out, and we're still filling ballrooms. I mean, how cool is that? These characters are so beloved. My question was how it felt to see your book out there in the world, but is there like an evolving sense of what that means to you?
Yeah, you know, it's wild because I think the last time we talked about this, like, I was saying how wildly grateful I was the fact that I didn't have to deal with like as much of a, like they call it, it's like post-publication depression, basically. Like, as soon as your book is out in the world, it's like you've been working toward this goal, you've been working, and all of a sudden it's out, and then you're like, because so often it doesn't end up the way that you hoped it would. And I really, the first couple of months were amazing, and I mean, it's all been amazing. I'm so grateful. But what I didn't see coming, so I was very, I mean, I was probably like all sunshine and roses the last time we talked, because I was just like, this is amazing. Like, I can't even believe that this is happening. And then wow, did the imposter syndrome hit big. Like, so hard. I was toppled by it. I think part of the problem was I was reading Famesick at the time too, which is talking about how, like, Lena Dunham wrote about suddenly all of these people in the world weighing in on her where she didn't expect it, and I was like, this is happening to me too. Because all of a sudden, if you're like, I think 1 million people have read the book by now, something like that, when you count libraries. And that's 1 million people weighing in on your brain.
And when these characters may or may not be a little bit of you too, yeah.
Exactly. So it was like the internet suddenly became a landmine. And you know, like Carol Claire Burke talked about this recently and she's sold way more copies than I have, but like about how you just don't, I don't know, I think at a certain scale you're just like, wow, I did not see that coming. And so the imposter syndrome was the result of me having that realization. It was like the why on earth, why me kind of thing. And I was in the middle of, drafting this book, and I was just like, how am I supposed to write words? So I can tell you that the cure for that is to get away from the internet. And I went to the beach for a week, and I did not look at my phone for a week, and it kind of reset me. And
I went to Scotland. Yeah, that's what I did. I went to the woods and turned off everything, and then we got lost because I had left my phone.
Oh no! Wait, how did you get out of that one? I want to hear the story.
It's not really that. We just followed the same path back.
But yes, you get away. You've got to get away from your phone. You've got to get away from your phone. But I always feel like, if people are tagging you on Instagram and you want to respond to them in a timely manner, thank them for stories disappear after 24 hours. Like, there's things like that where I felt like I was kind of attached to my phone, because I am so grateful, and I want people to know that I'm grateful, and I will always respond if somebody emails me or if somebody DMs me to say something lovely about the book. Like, how lovely is that? What an amazing experience for someone to have. But it does make you feel like you are attached to that platform, in a way that I never was before.
Yeah. Well, this is why I got off social media.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing that we're gonna have to go to the Q&A soon. So I'm gonna ask one more very fast wrap-up question, and then we're gonna get your questions. And it's just simple. You walk into a big store, what section do you go to immediately?
New and noteworthy. I'm always curious what's out that I've missed.
Thank you so much. And we're gonna go ahead and take any of your questions now.
So I kind of wanted to piggyback off of what you guys were just saying, because in your book, if anybody wants to see it, on 133, Joy's kind of talking about
Yes!
what you're saying.
Being peeled back and exposed to the world.
Yeah, and like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I had no idea how vile I was until I was borderline famous. So now that you've lived this experience, is this something that maybe you wrote to your future self, or would you?
I know. I think about that regularly, and thank you
Yeah.
so much for making that comment, because I wanted to comment on that, like in previous things. Yeah, it's like, I think it was. I guess if you were to ask somebody, like, would you like to have 1 million people read the book in 5 months, even though it might like mess with your brain, the answer is always going to be yes. So I guess a part of me was, willing that into existence of some sort. But they're way more famous than I am.
Is there anything that you would go back, having lived that experience, and rewrite in that section?
Oh yes, and actually for that reason, I am writing another famous person into my next book, and I'm going to have all of that commentary in my next book.
Anyone else?
Oh, I have a fun story I want to tell you all after that question.
Did you also have a question? Yes.
Hi, my name's Todd Talbert, and I also come from an old Southern California family and moved out to Georgia. And I'm wondering, we might be related. My great-grandmother was a Crum.
No, that's my husband's name.
Okay.
I don't know why
Maybe
I
I'm related
gave
to
him
him.
my books. Like his name is all over them.
Well, I'm glad, because I didn't come here to say that specifically. It sort of dawned on me while I was here.
That's funny.
I wasn't going to ask this, but I'm going to about because you brought it up, the AI piece.
Oh, yeah.
So I work like, just in my background, I work in executive level management at the Centers for Disease Control, and we use AI under certain circumstances, and there are disclaimers and things we do about being AI assisted and not, and there's a lot of dependencies, and we have policies around it. Can I ask you a question? What do you think the future of it is? I know what the behavior is now, and I'm thinking of disclaimers, that sort of thing, because it's an interesting topic to me, and I have not read your book, but I'm going to buy one today. Because I wanted to. Anyway, that was my question, and if you're not prepared to answer, I get it, or if you want to answer it.
I mean, I have no idea what the future is. I was really happy when I saw that Claude, I think in the EU, is going to have a watermark for all AI generated. And like, I love that, I fully support that. I don't think AI is a good writer. So like, do we want all of this flooding our market? Like, I think that there should be lots of policies against it, but I don't know how all of this is gonna work out. But I like AI for helping me, like, change a recipe from feeding 3 people to 12 real fast. But it's genuinely a terrible writer. So like, it's fascinating to me. They said that there was a study that I recently read where, like, I think in the last 3 years, the number of self-published books on Kindle Unlimited has like multiplied by 5. And it's probably not a coincidence, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that what I wish is that it wasn't diluting the market, you know? It's harder to find books these days because there are so many out there, and I wish that there was some way to say, like, this is AI. If you want to participate in this, go for it. If you don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that maybe I can speak for a lot of authors when I say that we are scared of getting accused of it.
Oh, that too.
Yes.
Yeah. I know, that's why I said that. I was like, here's my novel.
Because we have it. And like I've played around with Paradigm, which is like it's supposed to tell you if your writing is AI or not. And I put in something that I've written like 10 years ago. And it came back as this is 6% AI written. And I'm like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
No, it's not. So, you know, what happens then? Like that's always a fear that I wish we could eliminate. And also the ethics around it, I think it's so murky. Like the gap between I've used this for spell check is so far away from I've used this to produce my entire manuscript. Right. And where is like what are we allowed to do? So I've erred on the side of like nothing. I was telling Anel the other day that I do look at like ChatGPT for my son has a rash. What is this? Just tell me. But besides that, nothing. You can't for writing related because first of all, it's not a good writer, and second of all, if I ever get accused of anything, I want to legitimately be able to say no.
Yes.
I didn't.
Yes, and also like it terrifies me the idea of plugging anything into the internet that I wrote that is not already published. Like the idea of feeding it my voice scares the crap out of me.
Stole 4 of my books.
Oh, do you get some money out of that?
Money!
I'm sorry that happened.
Money in the lawsuit.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they were going to steal it anyway. I'm glad that people are getting money out of it. But yeah, 4. Yeah, but that's.
Thank you.
Well, this has been great, and I really want to hear your funny story, so I'll keep this quick, but I'm fascinated by your writing process, and I want to know if you've been walking for 20 years, if that's what you've been doing the whole time to write, or if this is new.
Yes, actually I have. But my sweet little. I always joked that I was going to dedicate. First of all, sorry, that's Tara, who is the Atlanta Authors Presents a guest in in October. And I blurbed her book, you guys. I read it, and I think it's fantastic. And I want you all to buy it, and particularly if you can pre-order. Pre-orders really, really, really help authors. She is fantastic, and I think you will all enjoy it. But anyway, yes, I have been writing on my walks for all those years, and I used to joke that I would dedicate my novel to a dog someday. But the last one was my a whole different dog. Like I wrote 3 other books with a whole different dog, and yeah.
Any other questions?
Oh, okay. So wait, let me tell you this. Let me tell you this story. All right, the cover. So this is actually a painting by the very talented Seth Armstrong of a hillscape in Los Angeles. And I did not know that it was a painting until after the cover was approved. And it was kind of a long approval process because we went through several different ideas. And by the time that we did approve it, they wanted to get it out of the world as quickly as possible. And I was like, I want a cover reveal. You guys, can we do a cover reveal? And they were like, nobody cares about cover reveals for debuts. Like, no. And so I said, fine. My husband happens to be a very talented motion graphics artist, and he also could do animation. And so I was like, can my husband do it for me? That would be awesome if you would let him do that. And they were like, actually, sure, if he was willing to do it for free. So I was like, okay, cool. So we get the file, and the file is like 500 gigabytes. It was huge. And we were like, why is this so big? That was when we realized that the painting that it's based on is actually very large. It's like 6 feet by 9 feet. I mean, huge. I think on wood. And because it is so large, because that file was so large, we were able to zoom in very closely to different parts of the hill. And it turns out that in almost every window on this hill, there is an R-rated scene that you can't really tell if you're looking up close just on the. But if you know that and you're looking for it, you might spot something. So just wanted to tell you there are some Easter eggs in there.
And then any more questions? Do we have
the title? How
We
is
have-
that chosen?
I really wanted something that was sounded like it could be a thriller or or hopeful or romance. Like I didn't want it to be dark, so I went for the hopeful. This might save your life kind of thing. And I was just kind of playing around with the different word choices to make sure that I didn't use a title that was already used, basically.
Well, thank you so much.
Yes. Okay. Sure.
So the authors are going to be back there to sign books. I was going to say, let's give them a big applause, but you already did. The best way you can support these efforts is to purchase a book, and they'll just personalize any books that you buy. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you at our next event. We really appreciate you coming. Thank you.